Hi, welcome back to the Defining Wellness Confab. I'm Denise O'Malley, the founder of You Define Wellness, and we're bringing this to you. You may be wondering what the Defining Wellness Confab is all about if you haven't watched any of the other videos. You can call it a summit, you can call it a forum. I just happen to like the word confab because it implies it's an informal private conversation, and that's what we're doing, is we're having informal private conversations with you. And our theme is becoming the director of your own healthcare. So what that means is when you are in the medical insurance world, you have a director, typically your primary care physician, but when you step outside of it and you're finding other paths for healing and wellness, you don't know who to turn to. So what I'm doing through this confab is introducing you to 52 of the people I know in health and wellness. And today I get to have a conversation with my friend, Krista Igoe with Igoe Healing Arts. And Krista, thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for including me in this.
Oh, I could not have you, right? So, so why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do?
Well, primarily, among other things that I do, most of what I do is as a Reiki Master and teacher. I've been doing different energy work for 28 years, and 10 or 12 years ago, really kind of started studying Reiki, and it was just such a perfect fit for me, and it just shifted everything in my life. And I said, okay, here's where I'm going professionally. And so Reiki, for those of you who may not know, it's an energy modality. It's believed to have been on the planet since the beginning of time, but was given this name, Reiki, which is a Japanese name, Rei and Ki, meaning universal life force energy, by a Japanese man 100 years ago because of the way he stumbled into this energy and his epiphany and his journey that he went on. So that's why it has a Japanese name. But there's evidence in the hieroglyphics in Egypt, in the pyramids, that they were using Reiki at that time. Every ancient culture has had its own way of doing this. So this really is nothing new. It's just this way of practicing and this way of accessing is about 100 years old at this point in time. And essentially, it's a vibration. There's this energy that's around us all this time, the universal life force energy, and Reiki practitioners are trained in how it comes in through our crown chakra and out through our hands. And it's actually been measured by Stanford University. They've actually been able to film it. And, some of the scientific work that has been done has been able to measure and see this. So it's essentially a high vibration. And when you deal with a high vibration, it raises your own vibration.
And you can use Reiki for many different things, from simple relaxation to actually getting into some stuff that we wanted to talk about today, and that is anxiety, grief, trauma, abuse. Those are really heavy subjects.
They are. And, I see that, having been practicing for 10 years, I see it often. Someone comes in just for relaxation, and what is the beauty of Reiki is it's not my agenda. It's what, say you're the client, it's what your body is asking for, body, mind, spirit. So physically, emotionally, it's what's calling to you. So it could be, years ago, I did have someone who came in with a broken arm, and she was a tennis player and had a tournament, and she wanted to kind of help speed the healing. Well, the arm was doing just fine. But what came up was a whole internal issue that was 20 years old, that left untreated can turn toxic, but it was an emotional issue. And it surprised her, as it often does. But It's usually that part of the body says, hey, elbow, she's not listening to us. Would you make the phone call, please, to get in the office? Because we're screaming at her and she won't listen. And that's often what happens. So all of those emotions, all those things tend to get stuck in us, and they can become physical. Many physical ailments have an emotional, not all, but many have an emotional cause, because the body is just screaming, saying, hello, hello, would you listen to me? Okay, I guess I have to create an illness so that you'll hear me. And that's often how bodies talk to me. It gets humorous sometimes.
Well, I want to share my own experience of working with you. And, when you and I met and I was laying on your massage table, because it's a massage table that you lay on, you're fully clothed, just for those.
But you're fully clothed, and my hands are just in neutral places.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
my first experience with Reiki was just like, really? You're just going to move around my body with your hands? And I mean, I didn't understand enough about it. But by the time I was with you, Krista, I was a
Sure.
little more experienced. And I came in just to experience it with Krista and relaxation more than anything else. And she was able to identify something that was going on in terms of, she didn't know what it was. So it's not like it's like the universe saying, guess what? This is what's happened to her. But that there was definitely
Right.
something, a blockage from the flow of the energy. And immediately when she pointed it out to me, it disappeared. And suddenly things just, I could feel things were flowing through me. So it's just
Right.
kind of amazing for the person who's
It showed in your life.
not.
It showed in your life.
Hmm.
It showed in your life. It showed in you setting up You Define Wellness. It showed in so many things you were doing. By moving that, it's often painless. It's a very esoteric concept. It's hard to tell people, I removed this, or it's you removed. I'm simply the facilitator. You allowed it to let go. And then what happens in your life? But it's kind of like if you're walking in a straight line, I'll kind of hold my hands like this, and all of a sudden you take one step in this direction. By the time you get over here, now you've got a big gap, but it's subtle.
Hmm.
And it's often hard to tie it. But I see people 4 6 months later, I'll bump into them in a movie theater or someplace, and they'll tell me, oh my gosh, you won't believe what's happened in my life. I lost my job, but wow, I have this great job. And well, my boyfriend left, but look at this wonderful new man in my life. And all these things that were lower vibration have been replaced by higher vibration. And it's that subtle little moving an inch, that by the time you've walked 30 feet, you're several yards apart.
So
So thank you for that feedback.
yeah, so do you ever have clients who come in just for a tune-up, like they take the car in for an oil change, every so many miles?
Oh yes, and that's my fantasy, is that if everybody on the planet did that, kind of like massage. We're kind of, more and more people are understanding that massage on a regular basis is, you keep it going. And the same thing with Reiki, it's cumulative. But I've had people who've gone through crises with cancer, or divorce, or major issues in their life, and we kind of have several sessions at that point, and then it goes a while, and then maybe once a year they say, I'm going through. They understand the value of the stress release, and they understand, oh yeah, well, I had someone this morning, actually one of my clients this morning, it was just kind of like hey, let's just kind of continue the work. She's done so much work on herself, why regress? Let's just kind of keep it forward. And she's feeling stressed out with her job, and it was just that hour to just kind of replenish. One of my analogies, as I and one of my newsletters was phrased, are you Swiss cheese? And it always gets people to chuckle, but it paints a picture that gets people to understand. Most of us are walking around like a block of Swiss cheese, and Reiki fills in those holes. So imagine, oh, what if I was whole and complete? What could I accomplish? But, many of us have jobs that pull at us, families that pull at us, places we give and never replenish. But when we can just pour that water in and just replenish and fill up with good, wonderful stuff, whew, what can we do? So
Yeah.
often when people are going through life changes, Reiki is that way to kind of get the cobwebs off, get the dust off, get the goop that is stuck to us, get that off. When we're going through divorce, when we're going through grief, when we're going through, grief's a funny topic. There's a part of grief that's just a normal process of being a human being. It shows we loved, but there's a part where it's too much. And where's the line? Where are you crossing the line? When is it debilitating? When is it you can't get out of that, and you can no longer see the light of day, and you don't want the curtains opened, and you just start going, no, Reiki can bring you back to light. Essentially, Reiki is light. The most beautiful energy in the world is light and love. And that's essentially what Reiki is. And when you can restore that, all of a sudden you can start functioning again. And one day you take one step forward, and the next day you take another step forward. And all of a sudden you're wanting the blinds open. All of a sudden you realize you're turning the radio on in the car where you haven't had it on for a while. All of a sudden you realize you laughed at something. It's like, oh, yeah. All of a sudden, when I'm working with someone with grief, it's typically their heart that pulls. That is, it's logical. It's not rocket science. It's kind of obvious, but that's often what happens. And we'll look at where is it stuck. A couple of years ago, I had a man, big burly firefighter, and his daughter, 21-year-old daughter, had died. And so it defies the natural order of things when your child passes, and so suddenly. And so he was feeling a combination of guilt. He was feeling just so many different things. And there's a process I use in Reiki to help remove what needs to release. And it's never, again, I said this before, it's never my agenda. I'm always empowering my client to, are you ready to release this? Do you want my help? I ask permission, and I get very clear. I say, so I have your permission. I state it very clearly. I will not do to anyone. I can't. I can only release what someone is ready to release. But he commented to his sister-in-law, who insisted he come in, that he found interesting my choice of words were, how much of this grief feels safe to release today? And he thought that was such an interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even realized, having done this so many times, that that's what I was saying, but it's true. It's what feels safe to release today. Oh, on a scale, maybe of 100% of the grief, maybe today is 10%. Often what I see is the next time someone comes in, should they feel they want to come back, often now their body knows, and they're barely on the table, and the body's like, okay, come on, let's release this, because the body knows now, oh yes, she released this and we didn't die. We're still here and we feel better. So it's the mind and the body have kind of two separate different consciousness. So sometimes they work together and sometimes they fight each other. So it's just a matter of teaching the body, oh, this is good, this is how, then next time a big chunk comes off. So but the same thing with, so I do want to talk about PTSD.
Yes.
There's so many ways. We're not going to get into what is the definition of that, and I think most people have a general idea, and they can look up specifically, but it's we'll call it an extreme anxiety, kind of in that realm. And whether you're a soldier or whether it's from any number of different traumas that have happened, those traumas get stuck. And there is a combination of a chemical reaction that happens in the body, that it's not just a mind, a psychological thing. There is a chemical shift that happens in the body when people go through PTSD. But what Reiki can address is it can help balance the physical by putting the body back into a deep state where it can kind of shift into where it needs to. So chemically, we start releasing the right chemicals, as well as kind of adding water to that dry sponge and kind of replenishing and releasing. More often than not, in a case like that, I'm not doing as much release right away. It's more the replenishment till someone is strong enough or at a point where maybe something wants to release. But more, it's just the serenity, the calmness, the putting someone in that. It's not an alpha state. My brain just went dead on one of those Greek words, alpha, zeta, beta, whatever. That state where we go, where all of a sudden what people report, veterans are a classic example, and some of the comments they've made are, I could sleep for the first time in months, or I'm not flaring up in anger at my children. I'm able to talk to my wife for the first time in years. And, think about how devastating this is for an individual and for their families. Everyone's walking on eggshells. And when you can just gradually, one step at a time, start making a difference and easing that pain and going to where the emotional wound is and letting Reiki start addressing some of the physical. And it works in tandem with any other care they're getting. So if they're getting psychological care, if they're getting medical care, it's all in conjunction with that. It's not either or. It all supports that.
Yeah. And
you know, the same thing with abuse and sexual abuse. It's that same trauma, just kind of releasing. Where is that?
I want to talk about veterans for a minute. So earlier this week, I attended the National Summit for Mental Health and Mental Fitness, and a fascinating day. And on one of the panels was Dr. Tracy Gaudet, who is the executive, I'm reading from this, who is the executive director of the Veterans Health Administration's National Office of Patient-Centered Care and Cultural Transformation. What a heck of a title.
Is there an acronym for that one?
It doesn't say. Well, one of the things that Tracy said in her part of the panel discussion is she talked about how they have become aware at the Veterans Administration of the need to bring in holistic health care in order to have better results for the veterans to receive better results and experience better results. And one of them is Reiki.
Yes.
So absolutely.
So it's been used there. There I have several articles. There's a nationally well-renowned Reiki master who used to be a nurse at the VA center in Northport on Long Island, and she was able to get some studies done and with some grants of using Reiki on the veterans there. And there are numerous articles in Reiki News Magazine that she has written that address that. And it's profound work. And can make such a difference. And on top of that, there's no chemical dependency.
Exactly.
There's no toxic side effects. The cost is
minimal.
Minimal compared to the other cost. There's no opioids. There's no anything else. And just, I often have a package deal when someone is coming with a chronic issue and is going to need some ongoing care, then you kind of get the volume discount, and I work with someone on that. But, all those things, yes. The part of my mission of doing Reiki is the more we can eliminate even taking Tylenol. If we can do that, and I've had surgical clients who were able to just come out of surgery taking Tylenol 3 instead of taking an opioid after major surgery. And it's phenomenal. That's physical pain. If we can continue doing that, there's so much less toxicity in our bodies and in our planet, in terms of the runoff from the manufacturer.
I know. The healing is faster, the costs are down.
On this one.
There's so much that can be done. We can go on and on and on, Krista. I know we can, because we have.
And you know me, I'll go on and on.
Yeah, exactly. So that timer is my reminder to say to you, what did you want to include in this video that we have not discussed yet?
Well, so I just want to say, if you're questioning, then give Reiki a try. Reiki is at a minimum, it's relaxation. Anything else is gravy. Anything else that happens is just beautiful. So whether it's receiving, oftentimes I have people who receive Reiki and then they say, can I do this myself? To which my answer is yes. My next Reiki class is September 28th and 29th. And
so anyone can learn it.
Anyone can learn. It is really easy. It's I teach a very comprehensive class. There are people who teach a superficial class. I really get into a lot of depth and discuss boundaries and how energy works and that. So you leave my class having an idea of all the ways Reiki can help you, and just to be able to self-administer every day when you're having an anxiety attack, to be able to put your hands on yourself and not have to make an appointment, but in 2 minutes you can already feel relief, is huge. So, I urge people to consider, wouldn't it be wonderful if every household had one person who knew Reiki? Or if we all were taught this as learning how to cook dinner, learning how to do this, learning how to fix a car, learning how to administer Reiki to ourselves.
I need to learn how to use Reiki.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
28th and 29th, Denise.
They're what?
September 28th and 29th.
Hey, I really do want to do it. We'll see when I can get into a class. So we will work that out.
Yeah.
And the last question I have for you is, do you have to be in person with the person, or can you do it without being in the same city?
Wonderful question, because yes, Reiki transcends time and space. So I can say there's an earthquake in Chile. I can be sending Reiki to all the people affected directly and indirectly by that earthquake or tsunami or whatever else is going on in the world. Reiki, one of my newest things is I've been helping real estate agents with some difficult listings that they have, and doing a reading on the real estate and sending Reiki to it. And often the houses are, all of a sudden they haven't been moving, and all of a sudden they move. So it's shifting the energy and raising that. But much like, if you think about it, like we know prayer energy works,
Mm-hmm.
really not any different.
Mm-hmm.
We can send prayer energy to somebody else
Yeah.
across the street or across the world. It really kind of works. It travels the same pathway.
So we need to add an emoji on Facebook. We've got this for prayers. So we need to have this for Reiki.
Yes. It's on my cell phone.
So cool. All right. So this is where I get to talk to everyone about the fact that Krista here is in the You Define Wellness Network. And what does that mean? You Define Wellness is a network of hundreds of health and wellness professionals across the United States. And when you are on your own path of wellness and you've stepped away from the medical insurance world, you're trying to find the healers of the world, and you're Googling, you're going to come up with a list somewhere. There's a bunch of them out there on the internet, including ours. And Yelp is one, as a matter of fact. But when you find them at our provider directory, you know something here. You know that we vetted those providers. We have done a criminal background investigation. We know we have a lot of speeders in our group. Trust me, I see what is going on in their worlds. But we have the criminal background investigation. We're checking their regulatory licenses, if they are licensed by a state, and making sure there's no disciplinary actions or stipulations there. We're checking their reputation. We're making sure they're a legal business. So while it shouldn't be the end all be all in your decision-making process when you are looking for a new health and wellness professional, you know that at least we've looked at it and the others have not. And whether you're a client of You Define Wellness or not, you may access our provider directory just by going to our website. But one of the things that's great about having a provider network like this is that we can create products for the market. One is, our flagship product is an employee wellness benefit plan. This is an employee benefit plan so that you can access the services of people like Krista, and this is an employer subsidized benefit program. We are also able to put together an education catalog, and our providers have put together programs that are great for corporate lunch and learns, or a business association, or a school group. Anytime you need a health and wellness educator of any type, we've got the speakers. And simply go to our website and download the free catalog and take a look at the dozens of topics that we have. And some of those topics are available worldwide through the use of technology like Zoom that we're using for this. And we also have a product now for individuals. And this is because we had a lot of individuals come to us and say, I want a way to participate with what you're building, but I don't have the employee benefit program in place. Well, aside from introducing us to your human resource manager, perhaps you don't have one. Perhaps you're self-employed, or you're a retiree, or it just doesn't apply. We now have a discount card for you, and it is a true card. And with it, when you present it to one of the providers in our network who accepts the Healthy Living card, you will receive discounts, and you can use it as many times as you want in a month. You can share it with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your next door neighbors. It does have a one-time fee of $99 for the card. It never expires. And through the end of this month, it's available at half price of $49.50. It's a great gift idea. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to share with you Krista's contact information. Krista, I hope I have that right. I forgot to ask you ahead of time.
It's all right.
Oh, yay, great. So if, Krista is someone you want to see, if this is who you want to work with, pick up the phone and give her a call. Go to her website, take a look at what's on there, but reach out to her and have that conversation. And remember, it doesn't matter where in the world you live. Krista can work with you. So that being said, one thought I meant to say when you ended your part is I can see that really people need to start giving Reiki gift certificates in addition to massage gift certificates at Christmas time.
Right. Well, and it's wedding season. So
wedding
a
season.
perfect shower gift for the bride-to-be is a Reiki session within the week before the wedding. And
Awesome.
I just want to say on the contact page, that is the website for my office. You can contact, when you go to that website, just scroll in there and my information will be in that. So
perfect.
Just a little clarification there.
With that being said, thank you for doing this. I'm so glad that you did.
I am too, because anytime I get a chance to inform people, just makes the world a little better. And hopefully, if one person hears something that they need to hear, whether it's with me or anyone else, if I can teach them a little more about something they didn't know, then I've done my job.
Absolutely.
So
and for you,
for everybody out there.
And for those of you who are watching this as a recording, wherever you found this recording, you can find more at youtube.com. Just go there, put You Define Wellness in the search bar. You will find our channel. We will have all 48 of the sessions of the Defining Wellness Confab in there. Plus, we've got a whole bunch more in there from the past couple of years. So search around. Get to know some of the health and wellness professionals and reach out, because we've got some really good talent that are part of our network. And that being said, again, thank you. And we hope to see you on another recording.